Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, there's some stuff going on in the news in the last couple of days that could indicate that things are maybe gonna get ready to change. You're gonna see a shift, and I'm referring to the conflict going over in Europe between Russia and Ukraine and NATO. Some stuff coming out that looks like something's upped. Okay, and so I want to talk about that. I wanted to mention to you that you should probably, because of YouTube and the censorship, I am shifting more and more of my content, especially the really good content, over to locals. It's a private membership type website. And we do live streams over there, and I post videos every day. My wife posts content over there, and then of course you can also communicate with other people. There's a link down in the pinned comment below. It's only $3 a month. I've also been doing classes over there called Community Building 101, and just imparting some of the experience and knowledge that I've developed with the community that we have been building here for the last 3 years. So if you want in on some of that, it's only $3 a month. I understand some of you that's a lot. Others, it's not that much. You can't really buy a communist coffee for $3 anymore. I've actually never bought a communist coffee, but from what I hear, they're more than $3. All right, so let's get on with this. Apparently, word on the street is that a lot of NATO leaders are making a rush, apparently they're already there, to Poland in some sort of emergency meeting regarding the war with Russia and Ukraine. There's been reports of all of their planes flying that direction. I'll show you a video, not a video, but a picture of that. Most of these are ministers of the military and defense of the different NATO nations that seem to be frantically getting there. It's an emergency meeting. Now, the word on the street is that this emergency meeting is due to what is going to take place tomorrow in Russia. On October 3rd, Russia has announced that they're doing a nationwide exercise on what would happen if there was some type of nuclear event or some type of breakdown of their society. And then martial law ensued, and so they are doing some type of test, mobilization nationwide, which includes the military and apparently some of the civilian sectors of Russia. Apparently, this has NATO a little concerned. It also seems to be such a coincidence, and you know how I feel about those, that the very next day, October 4th, is when the United States is doing a test of the emergency alert system nationwide. If your phones will be on and connected to that system, you should probably get an alert on the day after tomorrow. Does all of this mean anything? There's a lot of talk about 5G networks kicking in and stuff when it comes to the October 4th thing. I have no clue about that. I honestly haven't dug too deep into that. Mostly because these emergency alert things are really an annual thing. They've been doing this every year for the last few years. But it does seem strange that it's all kind of happening at once. There's a lot of things going on. And then, of course, now these, NATO leaders, military leaders, all rushing to Poland to figure out what to do about Russia's test. There's also a few unconfirmed reports. And I'm saying unconfirmed because I can't find any solid news source of this, but honestly, it doesn't mean a whole lot because we've seen a lot of things happen in Ukraine that were not reported on by any solid news source. But what I'm getting at, there's a lot of unconfirmed reports that recently large amounts of Ukrainian troops are starting to surrender to Russian troops because they're running out of supplies. They're watching their people being slaughtered. They're running out of supplies. Russia is really kind of ramping things up. They've got a lot of new weapons coming out. I'll show you a little video here of this one. It's a new type. Not a cluster bomb. It's a precision guided bomb that explodes and sprays shrapnel everywhere. And as you can see in this video, the little circles, that's an actual Ukrainian encampment military camp, and then of course about a half a click, 500-meter radius, it just pretty much destroys it. So there's that. They are also getting ready to test a nuclear-powered missile, not a nuclear-tipped missile. It probably can carry nuclear-tipped, but it's a nuclear-powered missile, which would mean that the range on this thing may be just, forever. It could fly just about anywhere. And so we're hearing more and more come out of Ukraine and Russia that things are not going so well. And then this happens. Now, on the American side of things, the Pentagon has recently, as of, I guess today, told Congress that they're running out of money. We've been sending hundreds and hundreds, billions of dollars in weapons over to Ukraine, and the Pentagon says that they have run out of money, or nearly have, and they cannot resupply. They can't keep sending all these weapons over there, and so Congress needs to act and give them some more money, because they need to resupply. We are running out. There's been reports over the last few months of how we as a country, our military, is running out of weapons and then having a hard time of resupplying ourselves because we're sending so much over to Ukraine. So there's that happening. Also in the news, apparently a Taiwanese warship fired upon a Chinese fishing tropper because it crashed into it or something like that. A little fuzzy on the details, but basically the Taiwan military is firing on a Chinese flagged ship. So I'm not sure if there's anything that's going to happen with that, but it just shows that tensions are increasing there. China has been flying more and more planes in and around Taiwan, and also sailing their warships in and around Taiwan at an increased rate. So we're seeing things really pick up around the world. And just the other day, Ukraine was seeking permission from the United States and NATO to take some of their long-range weapons and wage attacks on Iran and Syria. Specifically, the drone facilities in Iran and Syria the drones are being built and sold to the Russians and used in Ukraine. Whether or not they do that or not, Iran and Syria hears that. They're like, what? You want to go to war with us? Okay, well, we'll just throw more stuff up there at you. We're seeing tensions build. Instead of, after this length of time of the war, you would think that things would start to be kind of fizzling out. And it's actually, I don't think, the case. I think that we're seeing things really ramp up to a real full-scale war. Up to now, many might say it's just been kind of a conflict, not really a full-blown war. But with the numerous amount of targets that Ukraine has been striking inside of Russia and Crimea, I'm sure that Russia has just about had it. They've had enough of this, and it may be getting to the point that they go full in on it. And I'm sure that NATO is getting a little worried, of course, because they keep pushing this narrative that if Ukraine fails, then Russia will just run right through NATO. Rest of Europe. Will they? I don't know. They claim that they have no interest in that, but that doesn't mean that they wouldn't. But the point is that something seems to be up. It seems to be up serious and kind of immediate and happening. So over the next few days, could we see things ramp up? I think it was yesterday, that British troops are now on the ground inside of Ukraine, training Ukrainian troops. Russia stated that they make prime targets for them, and Britain is sending some of their fighter jets and deploying them in Poland. So we're seeing things kind of be laid out to get ready for a major European conflict. So what does that mean for you and I? Well, that means, like I said the other day, if we end up in a major war, the War College has already stated that for the United States to engage itself into a major war with a major adversary, we would need more troops and need them fast. So its most likely answer to that is conscription, which means the draft. It would also mean that most likely a lot of industries would be switched over through voluntary means or through force to produce for the military, which would mean a smaller supply chain for you and I. It could cause inflation to go up. It could cause many of these countries to more rapidly switch over to another currency and walk away from the US dollar, which could cause hyperinflation or at least high inflation. We could see actual attempted attacks here in the United States. We could also see terrorist attacks in the United States with all the millions of illegals pouring in, and we know for a fact that some of them are Chinese and Russian and Iranian and Syrian and various other people. Could some of them come in here to take down our grid or to do infrastructure damage? Very, very possible. And so if this kicks off soon, we could potentially see a cascading effect, kind of this domino effect of all these other things happen. And so that's why we have to be ready. I know that this conflict has been going on so long. Actually, it's not very long. In fact, historically speaking, looking at other wars, this thing's just getting started, and it's not been very long at all. It's only because of our modern perception of time and our lack of patience that we think it's been a long time. But it's not. It's not actually been a very long war so far. And so it's very likely that it is getting ready to kind of kick up. I would guess that the United States actually wants that, because if we could get ourselves involved into a major world war between now and the time of the election, it would give them a little bit of, fuel to say, well, we have to stop the election, or we have to, switch us over to paper or mail-in ballots, or we're under a declaration of emergency or martial law. There's all these different possibilities that could happen. And so I kind of think I believe that the banks want it, and the markets and the military industrial complex wants it. We're in a major debt, and there's a lot of people saying it's time to kind of slow down our spending. But if we're in a big war, we kind of push aside the possibility and the likelihood of going into greater debt and say, oh, we just need to spend because we're at war. So it's a good thing for the banksters and the military industrial complex and the big corporations. So they're going to all be pushing it. At some point, this is most likely going to pop off, and it could be happening soon. I'm not saying it is, but I'm saying it could be. And so we need to be getting ready for that. You need to pretty much, at this point, probably should be keeping things like fuel cans topped off. Don't let your gas in your vehicle get below half a tank. On a regular basis, evaluating what foods that you need to be stocking up on. Fuel for the winter. The EPA just put some new regulations out against gas stoves. So having backup heat. And making sure you're getting ready for the winter coming in. There's a lot of experts believe that this winter is going to be a rough one in many different ways, whether it's the supply chain, energy, food, war, economy, a lot of things going on, pandemic, all that kind of stuff. So I would be getting yourself really ready to go, because while fall just kind of got started, winter is just around the corner, and so is the possibility of all of this explosive conflict that we're seeing all over the place, and just more chaos. I'll leave you with this, and this may be nothing. I don't want anyone, I'm saying this towards the end because I don't want it to sound like that I'm, trying to do some fear porn here. Over the last 3 or 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks or so, I have been receiving a lot of people contacting me, much more than I ever have before, and almost every one of these emails and contacts are very, very similar. They all usually are something like, I have a family member that's in the military, I have a family member that's an FBI agent, or I have a friend, or maybe I am one. I've actually had a couple of those. Also, people that I personally know and trust tell me that, maybe they're former military and they have contacts that are still in the military, maybe special operations or officers, and they're telling me, giving me a lot of information. And all of this that I'm speaking of is usually the same general type of warning. And that is that they are being told by their superiors that they need to get their family and their own preparations ready, because there are some really scary things happening and getting ready to happen. That some of this may even be planned, it's indicated. Most of these warnings are not coming with a lot of detail because people don't want to give away who they are. But it does seem that there is some of that. Now, could it all be fake? Could it all be a bunch of people lying? Of course it could be. It's unlikely, though, with the amount that I'm getting, especially with some of these contacts coming from people that I actually know and trust. It's unlikely that everyone is telling a lie and that everyone is just making this up. So it's starting to make me feel and think that, yeah, probably should take some of this a little serious. What's the timeline of this? No one has told me. What is it that we're talking about? No one's told me that. How severe is this going to be that's being spoken of? No one's told me that either. It's just simply that, yeah, we're hearing through the rumor mill, or we're hearing through superiors, or we've been in a meeting, or there was an inter-office secret memo and all this kind of stuff that you should probably be getting ready because, you know, economically or militarily or food supplies or whatever, it's going to get rough soon. And so I'm just giving that out there to you, and you should probably, you know, take it as you will, and maybe even with a grain of salt, but it does appear that something is going on, and we need to get ready for that. Folks, it's time to get your houses in order and to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.